Hey everyone, Sean DeMont with Douglas Elliman. Welcome back to Understanding New York City Real Estate. This time we're going to talk about staging and why owners of property in this market who are considering selling should also be considering staging their home. What is staging? Very, very simply, it is about presenting the home in a way that gets buyers the most excited as possible. There's lots of ways to do that. There are several tools. Most importantly, it's about paint, it's about furniture, it's about art, and it's about decluttering. What do we want? The fact of the matter is, almost everybody who comes to see your home is going to find it initially online. It makes pictures and video incredibly important, and staging, the first job of staging, is to make sure that those pictures and that video are really optimized in a way that will get people excited enough to do relatively simple things you'd think, but you want them to click on the advertisement for the property, you want them to follow through on making an appointment, you want them to show up to an appointment, and you want them to leave the property feeling excited about making a great offer on that property. It's really going to be this staging process is going to be a way for you not only to get more people into your home, but to get people more willing to pay more money for that home. You get closer to true value by presenting something in a way that helps people to understand exactly why the home is awesome. Thinking about this in a very important sense, you need to understand that most buyers of property are going into this process pretty skeptically. No matter what amount you're asking, they think you're asking too much. You probably think you're asking too little. They unquestionably think that you're asking too much for this property. You want to get that out of the way as soon as possible. You want to start to shift the emotional energy from them thinking skeptically that the price is too high to them thinking emotionally about why the home is actually a good fit for them. This is why it's important to make sure that the paint color is pretty lightly colored, because even if it's a big and bright space, if it's painted in a way that most of us will live with warm, darker colors, it's very comfortable to live that way. It's a very nice way to live. It's not going to make a buyer feel like the space is particularly big or bright, even if objectively it is bright. This is not an objective process. The buyer's not going to find a way to understand that your space is big and bright. If they don't feel like it's big and bright when they're there or when they're looking at the pictures, they're going to move on, or they're going to be thinking that it's worth less. Another thing we want to consider is proportionality. If your furniture is really plush and big and you're in a really efficient, we'll call it, one bedroom, it's going to confuse them and make them feel that the space is in fact small, even if it's not necessarily. If you had some more modern, more sleek furniture in there, they might understand that it has some width and depth to it, that it is actually kind of large. On the other side of things, if you have a huge loft, if you have a huge townhouse, you want to make sure your furniture and your large-scale art helps people to understand just how big that space is, just how awesome it's going to be for them to have that space. You don't want the smaller, more minimalist stuff in there necessarily, because then they're just not going to understand the space. It's going to feel too empty. They're going to think, and believe it or not, I've heard this many times, they might think the space is too big. They don't need to spend this much money for this much space because they're just not going to use it all. So you want to make sure that for the smaller side of things, you're optimizing it so people understand how they might actually use the space efficiently. On the bigger side of things, you want to help them to understand how amazing it's going to be to have all of this space. Super important. It's a very emotional process, and it's our responsibility to make sure that the buyer leaves this home understanding the space. We do not want them trying to figure it out on their own. It's just not how most buyers look at these properties. I hope you found these tips and tricks helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and no matter what, have a great day. Bye.